Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from MRC Markets. Today is the 10th of May 2013. What we'll do is let's go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable dollar, Swiss dollar, yen, Aussie dollar, dollar CAD and gold. We're not making any trade calls recommendations in this video. You trade at your own risk. If you could please read a full disclaimer on our website www.mrcmarkets.com. If any new followers, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one is a 50 simple, the purple is 100 simple, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Yeah, so I'm basically just going to be reviewing what's been going on, have a look at any interesting setups that have played out, and have a look at any potential setups, mainly focusing on Fibonacci retracements and trend lines and the moving averages as well. Okay, let's have a look at this euro dollar chart. So what is still in play, and what have we spoken about the last few videos as well. So you got this fib here on the daily from the highs to lows. Sellers are coming in at this 50% retracement. I'll just zoom in here for you. You can see that big spike there, and the sellers are trying to bring this down, but it's getting a bit choppy in between all these moving averages. You can see it's chopping in between. It's reacting really nice off this 50 day moving average, and it's getting a bit stuck in between the sort of 100 and 200 as well. So it needs to make a daily candle close below that 50 day moving average, in my opinion, for it to see it to rotate down towards the 0% line, which is at one spot 27.46, and that would complete the move, in my opinion. But also you have the fib from the lows to the highs. The first move was this one here from that high, and that rotated towards the upside, and it took out the 0%. You could extend, you technically should extend the high now to the new recent high. And you can currently see we're down just above it at the minute. You can see the 50 day moving average is just above the 50%. So this move is also technically still in play if it does come down. So that's the focus on the daily chart. And to be honest with you, in terms of the 4 hour, it's just been very, very choppy. You can see the moves a little bit clearer here. So that was that first one. It ripped off of that 200 SMA and the 50%, rotated higher, and you could extend your high there to that one there. You can also see, yeah, this 200 SMA is also supporting on this 4 hour as well as we speak. But yeah, a lot of I suppose the sellers, a few sellers would be looking at the sort of fibs from here and down here, but it's a bit too choppy for me. I think euro dollar is all about this daily chart, in my opinion. It's good for context in choppy sort of periods. Keep the bigger fibs in mind, and just the bigger picture in mind. If you ever sort of confuse that chart, it's always tend to best just to zoom out and look at the higher time frames to give you better clarity, and that's what I think this euro dollar is a good example of that. Cable, we have 2 things on here. The first one on this daily chart is the fib from the highs to the lows. Surprise, surprise, we're coming in at the 50% again to the pips. Really nice spikes there, and it's trying to sell off to the downside, but it has been quite slow in doing that. So what the other thing is here, I'm just going to zoom in actually. It's also been in sort of dip buying. You've got that sort of uptrend support there, and it's been playing off of the 50% as well. So the first one was this one here, from that high to that low there. We spoke about this in the previous video. In fact, you can see it clear on the 4 hour. Let's go to the 4 hour. So let's go back. So that was the first one there. That first move there from lows to highs, bam, off the 50%, which is also previous support, rotated higher. And then the next bounce off of the trend line. So basically you then draw a new fib from the low, which was at 50% low, to the new high, which was there, bam, off the 50%, surprise, surprise, rotated higher. So now what you've technically got, so it's coming down off of the bigger 50% on the daily, but you'll also have buyers, in my opinion, coming in off of the newer 50% long if it comes down there. It's just shy at the minute of the 50%, but it's getting slightly supported at the 100 SMA on this 4 hour. Is it off anything on the daily? Well, I suppose 100 days fell in there as well. So yeah, you've also got another dip, and it's been playing very, very well, so keep that in mind, and that's what I'm personally focused on this cable chart. So the big daily 50 back, and on the 4 hour you've just got buyers coming in off the trendline support and these nice fibs as well. So it's been playing out very nicely, very, very technical indeed, this cable chart. Dollar Swiss has been a bit choppy recently. I remember we spoke about this on the daily. So you had this original fib here from the lows to the highs. It got bought up, and I mean, it didn't quite react well to the 50% or 618. It came below, so a lot of people who would have been buying off the 50% or 61.8 was stops just below. They may have been stopped out, or if you left it enough room, then you'd still be in, and it's rotating nicely towards the upside. Pretty much just comes short of that 0%. But the 4 hours also been very interesting. You have this fib here from the lows to the highs, reacted very nicely to the 50%. It didn't react nicely to the previous one. I mean, I'm personally not in it because it's stuck in, because for me it's stuck in between that big daily fib. So I'd want to see a break above this here to get interested in it, but it does look like it's getting nice and bullish now. So I mean, for me for it to be looking for buying opportunities, I want to see a break of that 0% line, because this fib is technically still in play. But of course there's nothing wrong with this one here. This one played out very nicely. So the next one that a lot of people will be looking at, I reckon, will be from the lows there to the news highs there. That's the next sort of dip long. So if we come down to the 50% here, which is at 94.46, I wouldn't be surprised to see buyers coming in. Dollar yen has been very, very boring of recent. I mean, we spoke about this on the sort of the 4 hour or the daily. This fib here from the lows to the highs there, that 50% got bought up and it rotated towards 0%. It didn't break above, so for me that fib was still technically in play. It's just it was just chopping in between this 50% and 0% line, just sort of floating in no man's land. But we've now got a break above, so a lot of people I would have thought would be looking at this fib here from that recent dip there to the highs here, sort of shorter term one. It's not that clear, it's not amazing, but it is a sort of dip. It's just the sort of the more obvious, clearer dip, and it's also the low off the 100 SMA as well. So if it does come down, I wouldn't be surprised to see buyers coming in off that. Also, the good thing is with that level is that that 50% coincides with the highs here around here, so decent sort of level. I mean, it's a level in itself. It doesn't even need to be a fib. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see, and that's all I'm personally focused on the dollar yen. Aussie dollar, I've left this up from last week. You can see it clear on the week, whereas in fact it's better on the daily, as it's just been chopping in between these two big levels on the daily, just looking for direction. I mean, if you're playing the range, you could have made a lot of pips. You could have sold up here, bought off that, sold again, and bought off of that. The big reversal spike, another reversal there, the decent upper wick, and just been making a good couple of hundred pips every time. But now we've got a daily candlestick close below this from yesterday. I think there's some fundamentals out about QE, about it tapering off a lot earlier, so that's strong for the US dollar. But anyway, so for me, bias is now towards the downside in my opinion, and this 4 hour chart has been very interesting, especially off of these 50%. You can see it much clearer. So we got the first one here, nice little dip, highest to lows, came in off the 61.8, we broke down lower, so then you can extend. So the next one here was that one from there, so you extend the low to there, and then you draw the high from where we sold off at. Bam, surprise, surprise, off the 50% 61.8 zone, and it broke down lower again. So the next one a lot of people will be looking out for will be from the high, will be from where we sold off towards the lows here, and if it does bounce up, then this 50% comes in at 1.0144. Wouldn't be surprised to see that get some decent selling reaction. So bias for me is still really, if you look at that daily, it is very bearish. And the weekly, it just looks like it's starting to break down. It's been up here for a while. Wouldn't be surprised to see it come and test this 200-week moving average there. So, but in terms of the shorter term plays, that's a fib I'd be looking out for personally. Dollar CAD, we left this up from last week. Nice trendline support. Also, you got a nice 200-day moving average. And also another thing, if you draw a fib from the low of that bounce of the trendline to the obvious high there, then surprise, surprise, we come off this 61.8% level. So lovely confluence there. You got a trendline, fib, and 200-day moving average, and we're starting to rotate towards the upside here. But for any sellers out there in the market, let's just keep it to the daily actually. This is a bit clearer. The sellers will be looking to cap it at this first fib here, in my opinion. The 50% which comes in at 1.0152 there. So probably would be front running at 1.0150. I wouldn't be surprised to see that get held. But of course the bigger, I mean the bulls are definitely in the market now, but I think that'll be the first interesting zone of resistance on this dollar CAD chart. So that's the Forex done. Let's have a look at gold. Has it really been doing much? Not really. Since the last video, it's just been chopping around really on this 4-hour chart pretty much all week. It's just been playing in between this sort of range really. No break out of that range at all. Very, very boring action. Some people just say it's a weak sort of retracement up, because obviously that aggressive move. Is it a fib actually if we draw from the highs to the lows there? Yeah, it kind of is off that 50%. That's the recent dip, so sellers are trying to cap it there and bring it down towards the 0%, and alternatively you'll have buyers trying to bring it back up if we do come down here from that low to the high there. So the 50% comes in at 14.04, but not an interesting chart. I think there's much better pairs you can see as we've already gone through, but of course it could react very nicely if we do come down to that 50%. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope you found it useful. If there's any other pairs you want to have a look at next week, then feel free to comment on our YouTube channel, which is MRC_markets. I think it's MRC Markets 1, sorry, or alternatively on our Twitter feed, which is MRC_markets. Yeah, if there's anything else you want to have a look at, or if you have any questions, we'll post a few of these charts up on the Twitter feed as well. I think we did that yesterday as well. Great, hope you enjoyed that. Catch you next week. Have a great rest of the week trading. Thanks for listening.